Hallelujah. And now, without any further ado, my buddy John Tischuk is going to share his testimony. You know, we overcome Satan how? By the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So we're going to hear a testimony this morning. Up to your mouth.
Thank you. You know, I got saved on New Year's Day, 1989. And God knows I'm a simple person. And, you know, I was raised Christian. And I didn't find out that we had Jewish blood in our family until my dad and my brother had passed away within 8 months of each other. You know, and my first picture goes to my grandfather. So if we could put that up. That's my grandfather on the left, my grandmother's on the right, my Uncle Steve is in the middle. My grandfather came here from the Ukraine in 1912. And with the intention of sending for my grandmother as soon as he got settled. Well, before everything settled into place, Lenin and the Bolsheviks took over, and my grandmother was thrown into a concentration camp. And so we don't know how long she was there, but she escaped. And she got reunited with my grandfather. He was a miner up in West Virginia, 1927, 15 years later, and the family was born. So everything that I deal with, that I go through, etc., belongs to my grandfather. He's an amazing man. I met him. I was 6 years old when he passed away. I never met my grandmother. She passed away 2 years before I was born. But you look at all the different things that people do that influence our lives. And I can't thank him enough, because when she got reunited with him, the family was born. And based on the conversation of what she had witnessed, that's when they decided to suppress our Jewish roots. I was raised in a Christian family, and I look back on the things that took place growing up that really went a long way in showing me that what my Aunt Pauline had shared with me. I thought my Aunt Pauline was my grandmother's sister. No. My grandparents brought her in off the street. She was their godchild. And when she found out that I had given my heart to the Lord, there were some things that took place. I found a kippah in my dad's chest of drawers underneath a bunch of clothes. And when I looked at it, I didn't know what I was holding. But as I looked at it, the Lord started showing me pictures of men wearing this. And so when I found that, and word got to my Aunt Pauline, she's the one that called me and shared the family story with me. So I tell all my customers, I started my business in 2005. I found all this out in 2007, February 2007. So I was telling my Jewish customers that I'm a backwards Jew, and they would look at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was 49 when I found out we had Jewish blood, you know, and they have accepted me, you know. But when I got saved, I had a heart for Jewish people. And the church I was a member at, we would have prayer on Saturday night, and then I would go to the beach. I didn't know anything about Shabbat. And there would be a circle of Jewish people sitting as the sun's getting ready to go down. And I would just walk over and sit down and just be nice and quiet. And out of my respect for them, they would invite me in. And I asked a lot of questions, not knowing what God had planned for me down the road. So all of this goes into, I remember one Sunday I went back to church, and after service was over, a man came up to me and said, "So what did you do last night?" And I said, "Well, after prayer, I went to the beach, and I was hanging out with some Jewish people." And he said, "Jewish people?" I said, "Yeah, they're God's chosen." And he said, "Yeah, but the church has replaced them because they haven't accepted Messiah." "Oh, yeah." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, then what you're telling me, God has lied about his chosen people. That's what you're telling me, that God changed his mind?" And he walked away from me, and he never talked to me again, you say. And so you see all these things. And then I find out that God, in his amazing grace, the people that I was attracted to, I find out that I am one. And I'm so humbled by it, and you go through all these different things that we can't understand. And sometimes God allows things that we really don't understand. My brother got saved 6 months after me in 1989. And all these different things that are taking place. You look at the world and you see the frenetic pace that they're running at. And yet, my brother had a record. I had a record before I got saved. And then Bill got saved. And there was one Wednesday, he didn't have a driver's license. There was one Wednesday I was working my job, and I had a company pickup truck, and I would drive out to the house and pick him up, and we would go to church. Well, this one Wednesday, I got something late to do, and I didn't have the time to go pick him up. And I called him and I said, "I'm sorry, Bill." I said, "Something's come up. I'm not going to be able to, I don't have the time to come pick you up and make it back." And he said to me, "Oh, that's okay. We'll figure something out." So I went and did what my bosses had asked me. I got back. I was living up in North Boca, and when I'm driving down Federal Highway, I'm about a half a mile from the church, I look over, and there's my brother on his 10-speed on the sidewalk. The house was 12 miles away. I think it's interesting. 12 miles. I timed. God has something with numbers. And when I saw my brother wanting to be in the house of God on his bicycle, I knew my brother was going to stay in the kingdom. So you go through all those things, and here we are. January of 2006. You can put that picture up. There's my dad, my brother, and myself, and you can see the date on it. January 14th of 2006. We went to my dad's house, some people that trim trees and all this other stuff. They left a pile of wood in the backyard, never came back to clean it up. And so Bill and I went over, and we did it. And I was good with a chainsaw, and he was good with 2 wheelbarrows to haul everything out to the curb. 2 days later, on Monday, Martin Luther King's observed birthday that year, I got a phone call, and it was something that you can't imagine, that my brother had been involved in a car accident, and he was the only fatality. And yet, I looked at that. I got a phone call from my first wife. She told me over the phone. There was a lady from the church, Brenda Cohen. She taught in the Bible college. She was, all the people went, all the ladies were having a women's meeting. They went to minister to Bobby. And when everything was said and done, Brenda Cohen came to my house and she said, I knew you would need somebody, because I had this huge gap in my life. Now my brother's gone, but in a nutshell, God used my brother's passing to get my dad saved. I lost my dad 8 months later, and I had a dream. I didn't know if my dad had gotten saved or not. We had done Bible studies with Bill's Bible at the school. The kids nicknamed him Mr. Bill, and that was engraved on his Bible. And so I called my family and I said, we're going to have a memorial service for Daddy in 9 days. And for 7 days, I was pounding on heaven, and I needed to know if my dad had gotten saved. 2 days before, I had a dream. And in the dream, I'm sitting in a cafe with my brother, and you can see us talking. You can't hear what we're saying. And all of a sudden, who comes walking in the cafe? Our dad. I turned to Bill and I said, Bill, look, Daddy's here. I got up from the table. I walked over to my dad. I put my arm around him. We took a couple of steps. I said, Daddy, look, Bill's here. Bill got up from the table, put his hand up, and I heard him say one thing. He said, no, John, this is your time with Daddy. I'll have plenty of time with Daddy. And the dream was over. I don't know how God did it, but I do know one thing. If my dad was around, he loved my wife. I got a great wife. And so to him be the glory and honor. And I thank you for the time. And
thank you, God bless you. But you know where your brother's spending all eternity, and your dad.
Can I share one comical thing?
It depends. How long is it going to take?
30 seconds.
Yes.
When I went to Ecuador in October of '89. This is 8 months after I got saved. And when I was there, the color purple started really sticking out to me. Well, I bought this hat in Ecuador, and when I came home, and some people told my brother about it, well, he was a Minnesota Viking fan, and I was a Green Bay Packer fan. And he said, it's just a matter of time before you become a Viking fan. And all I said was, don't hold your breath. But I thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you.
Yeah, every day.
We've gathered to worship here in the house of the risen Son.